Welcome to Ask Arminda. Feeling really reflective today. Just a lot. I've been in conversations with a lot of people today. It's been a very filling day for me as a coach and been reflecting about some of the themes that keep coming up in these conversations. And I just let's get back on the camera is kind of where I'm at. Let's keep talking about this thing, fear, because it just keeps showing up for people, and I don't want to minimize that for you. I don't want to say get rid of fear, just change your mind, just switch it off. It can be that simple, but for a lot of us it's not. So the question was posed to me today by a client, and she wanted to know what is it that I do when I experience fear around a project or an opportunity or a creation, or this could be anything. I know. Please remember that I come from a place where I work for myself. I'm not reporting to other people, but we can always cross-pollinate these answers. So don't get hung up on the fact that I'm independently working with clients. Pull out of this what really can work for you. Because does everybody experience fear? Maybe. I don't think everybody does, but I think it's common enough that we need to talk about this. We need to keep this dialogue going. I want to be aware of where I am on my inside. I will often refer to the ladder of consciousness. Colin Wilson talks and writes a lot about this. Steve Chandler, my coach, talks and writes a lot extensively about this ladder of consciousness. As a result, I also talk a lot about this. So this ladder of consciousness is inside of us. The very first thing is I want to be self-aware of my location on that ladder. As soon as I am self-aware of that ladder being inside of me, my quality of life is immediately improved. It is that instant. It's being aware of it. Steve Chandler also, I've heard him reference this and saying, if you can see the train, you're not on it. I love that. Sit with that. Think about it. Send me a message. Let me know what you think about that. It's constantly awesome to me every time I think about it. I think about the train of thought. If I can see the train, I'm not on it. So where are you? Being aware of your own location on that ladder improves immediately your quality of life. And as soon as I recognize I'm experiencing or feeling resistance, fear, hesitation, whatever attribute you want to apply to that not doing, the best thing I can do is get into action. It's the best thing I can do. Because if we are paralyzed or allowing ourselves, choosing to be paralyzed by a fear, keep in mind those fears live in a future that does not exist. It's really important. Really, really, really important. So hear me again. Fears live in a future that does not exist. If you are not in action because of a fear, you are fulfilling the fear itself. So you are creating a future that supports the fear in here. Step out of that. Step out of the way of that. Get into action immediately. I just need to do one thing. I don't need to do the big thing. I just need to do one thing. One thing that will actually create whatever the project is that I'm fearful of, whatever the conversation that I'm afraid to have. Take one step, one action closer toward creating a different outcome. I also always ask myself, what's the worst possible thing that could happen if I do that? What's the worst possible thing that could happen? Chances are, if your world is anything like my world, that scenario isn't actually that bad. It's not really that awful. The worst thing isn't really horrible. And keep in check. Are you afraid of a negative outcome, or are you afraid of succeeding? What happens if you succeed? Is that what you're really resisting? Is stepping into your own power. Because Everything you need is already inside of you. So when those feelings of fear surface, maybe for your consideration, we're mislabeling the emotion. Maybe we're calling it fear when it's not actually fear. Maybe what it is every cell in your body is excited and activated at the prospect of being in action toward the creation of what you already know you're more than capable of creating. Think about that. Are we mislabeling it, misrepresenting it as fear and pushing aside, when in fact it is everything in you that is saying, I'm ready, let's go. I've only been waiting for you. Let me know your thoughts. What additional questions do you have? Coach@armindalindsay.com. Can't wait to connect.